It still makes me feel the same way. I never wanted it to happen. I didn't intend for it to happen. I didn't mean for it to happen.
But in that moment, you felt like you had to defend yourself.
I did.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of To Catch a Criminal. We explore the most shocking and disturbing cases of homicides, violence, and justice. Today, I want to talk about a shocking and tragic incident that happened in Lithonia, Georgia, where Quaneesha Johnson, a 30-year-old mother of 3, was sentenced to prison for unaliving her boyfriend Demonte Smith. While I can provide information on legal procedures and laws, I am not qualified to offer legal advice. This video is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. On November 26, 2022, court records reveal that Johnson entrusted her 3 children to Demonte Smith, a 29-year-old man and the father of her youngest child, while she went out clubbing with her friends. Smith anticipated Johnson's return at 6 a.m., but when she failed to show up, he grew anxious and attempted to contact her numerous times via phone calls and text messages. His worry escalated after receiving a call from Johnson earlier that night, where she mentioned a fight at the club involving her and her friends. Smith reached out to several family members of Johnson, who also grew concerned upon finding her phone turned off. Concerned about her safety, they began reaching out to local hospitals and jails in an attempt to find her. According to the district attorney's office, Johnson discovered that her phone battery was dead and proceeded to charge it in her car at around 9 a.m. on November 27, 2022. She then came across unread messages from Smith and her 2 aunts. As she was going through the texts from her worried aunts, they called her to check on her location. After confirming her safety, Demonte was conferenced into the call. Smith, upon joining the call, confronted Johnson about her absence, accusing her of being reckless and underestimating him. He then made a threatening remark, cautioning her about the physical repercussions she would face upon her arrival home, before abruptly hanging up. In reaction to the threat, Johnson made multiple calls to 911, asking for a police escort to her home. She alerted the operator about a threat from Smith and disclosed that she had a firearm in her vehicle. While on the phone with her aunts, she observed that her bedroom security camera had been repositioned to face the wall. Consequently, she activated her alarm and requested the dispatcher to send police to her home. When she reached home, she flagged down a police officer that was in her neighborhood and requested assistance. According to court documents, Smith came out of the house and started arguing with Johnson in front of the deputies. He accused her of infidelity and warned her to be scared of him. When the officers tried to mediate the situation, one of them reported that Johnson was uncooperative and kept interrupting them. The deputies then advised both Johnson and Smith to go inside and cool off. Before entering the house, Smith threatened Johnson, saying that he was going to beat her once the police left. Johnson turned to the police and asked if they had heard his threat. Upon entering the house, she asked the deputies about the potential consequences if she were to shoot Smith in self-defense, mentioning that she had looked into Georgia's self-defense law. Johnson quickly came back outside, fetched a metal tire iron and a firearm from her car, and went back into the house. She instructed 2 of her children to dial 911 and report that Smith had hit her. Once inside, she struck Smith in the head with the tire iron and then fired a projectile into his chest. The 911 operator heard Johnson repeatedly saying bye to Smith after firing her weapon. The firearm shot was audible to both the officers and the 911 operator. Smith managed to get outside to the officers and told them, "She hit me in the head with a metal object and then shot me. Please hurry before I die." Following this, he collapsed, according to the authorities. He was rushed to a hospital where he passed away. Later investigations revealed that Smith's former girlfriend had set up a rideshare for him to depart from Quaneesha's residence and head to her place. Tragically, he sustained fatal injuries just a few minutes prior to its scheduled arrival. Johnson was apprehended and faced charges of murder and aggravated assault. Her children, who were present during the shooting, were taken into the care of the Department of Family and Children's Services. Johnson's 8-year-old daughter witnessed Johnson striking Smith with a tire iron and hearing the firearm shot. She also reported that Smith had assaulted Johnson with a pole and that Johnson had retaliated with a vacuum cleaner.
Now, when your mom came into the house that day, she asked you to call 911.
Yes.
She gave you her phone.
Yes.
And did you know that there were police already outside that day?
No.
Okay. Did she tell you why she wanted you to call 911?
Cause he was hitting her.
Okay. And was she scared that he was going to hit her?
I don't know.
Objection, personal knowledge. He asked if her mother.
Did she tell you why she wanted you to call 911?
Cause he was hitting her.
Okay. Your mom went up the stairs?
Yes.
Okay. And you saw the man from Dolo, you saw him hit your mom?
Yes.
Okay. Could you see from where you were downstairs, could you see everything that was happening upstairs?
Not everything.
Okay. Could you see your mom?
For a second.
Could you see Dolo?
Yes.
And you said that you heard a gunshot?
Yes.
Did you actually see a gun? You see your mom pull a gun and shoot?
I didn't see her pull a gun.
You just heard the gunshot?
Yes.
Do you remember telling an officer, a police officer, and your aunt on the phone, do you remember, did you tell them that, did you say your mom and Dola went upstairs and mommy hit him with a pole?
No, Dolo hit her with her a pole.
Okay. Do you remember telling the police and your aunt? Did you say that? Did you say mommy hit him with a pole?
No, Dolo hit her with a pole.
Okay. And did you ever tell the police? Do you remember telling the police that mommy hit Dolo?
Yes.
You told them that? Okay. Why did you tell them that?
Because I thought I needed to.
Okay. You thought you needed to? Why did you think that you needed to?
I don't know.
Okay. Did your mommy hit Dolo with a pole?
No, it was something from a vacuum.
However, the prosecution suggested that Johnson had directed one of her children to falsely report to 911 that Smith had attacked her.
So I wanted to play that 911 call for you. It is fairly soft to hear, it's background noise, but I want you to listen to what happened because that's the most telling 911 call.
Emergency 911, what's the address of the emergency?
My mom just hit a woman and I feel like I'm in danger.
What's the address?
796 Immerse.
Okay. And what's the phone number you're calling from?
What do you say?
What's the phone number you're calling from?
Say one more.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. What's your name? The phone number you're calling from? Do you know the phone number you're calling from?
I don't even know. You just hit my mom.
Who just hit your mom?
Man.
How does she know him? Is that her friend, her boyfriend? Who is it?
It was, I told you.
In a subsequent interview at the police station, Johnson admitted that Smith had not physically harmed her that day. Johnson's trial started in August 2023. She testified about her fear of Smith and his assault on her 2 weeks prior to the fatal incident. On the morning of November 13, 2022, she returned home at 6:20 a.m. Upon her entry, Smith immediately came down the stairs, lifted her, and slammed her onto her head, continuing to shake her until she cried and pleaded for him to stop. Following the incident, she texted his mother, "Demonte just slammed me to the ground on my face. I'm trying not to take it too far because of his situation. Will you please call and ask him to take off and give me some space right now, please? Prior to the November 13 incident, Smith was alleged to have beaten and punched Quaneesha's 12-year-old son in the face. On the day of the fatal incident, she testified that she had called the police for protection and had no intention of unaliving him. She claimed that her actions were in self-defense and that it was an accident. After 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a mixed verdict. They acquitted Johnson of malice murder, but found her guilty of voluntary manslaughter, 2 counts of aggravated assault, family violence, 2 counts of third-degree cruelty to children, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Johnson received a 20-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter, split into 10 years of confinement and 10 years of probation. The judge divided the confinement period into 5 years of prison time and 5 years of house arrest. Johnson was permitted to stay out of prison while she appeals her case. In the courtroom, the judge expressed her belief that Johnson had taken all necessary precautions to ensure her safety on the day of the incident. Miss Johnson, it is my belief that you took all the required measures to safeguard yourself after Mr. Smith threatened to cause you bodily harm, stated Judge Morris. She further elaborated that regardless of how long Johnson was out or who was looking after her children, it did not warrant threats of physical harm. That does not justify someone threatening you with severe bodily injury, she asserted. You alerted the alarm company and contacted local law enforcement not just once or twice, but 3 times.
And even though the jury did not hear the 911 tape of the previous domestic violence incident between Mr. Smith and another female, the court can consider that along with the police report and disturbing photographs of abuse to your minor child by the victim in this case. On the day of the incident, Ms. Johnson, I believe that you took all the necessary steps to ensure your safety after Mr. Smith had threatened to inflict bodily harm upon you. And it does not matter that you stayed out all night, or even if you stayed out for a week and leaving your children with whomever. That does not constitute that somebody would threaten you with serious bodily injury. Ms. Johnson, you called the alarm company, you called local law enforcement, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And when law enforcement arrived, they allowed you, the 2 people in this situation, to go into the home unescorted without any cooling off period, which resulted in the loss of Mr. Demonte Smith and resulted in your conviction for voluntary manslaughter. So when considering the aggravating and mitigating circumstances of this case, the court is required to impose a sentence that is sufficient but not greater than necessary. So Ms. Johnson, I will sentence you as follows. As to voluntary manslaughter, I will sentence you to 20 years to serve 10 years in confinement. The first 5 years of those 10 years to be served in prison, and the remaining 5 years to be served as home confinement. The remaining 10 years of the 20-year sentence will be served on probation.
Smith reportedly had a past marked by domestic abuse. The defense attorney Michael Sterling disclosed that Smith had previously been prosecuted by the attorney's office for charges including aggravated stalking, battery, and domestic violence. The deceased had a track record of abuse and had previously threatened to assault and unalive other women, Sterling revealed. What are your thoughts on the verdict? Do you agree with the jury's decision? How do you feel about the sentence given to Quaneesha Johnson? Do you believe that she acted in self-defense? What are your thoughts on the role of the police in this case? Remember, it's crucial to respect all viewpoints in this sensitive discussion. Thank you for watching To Catch a Criminal. I hope that you found this case informative and helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more updates. Also, feel free to leave your comments and questions below. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this case. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and stay safe.